disappointed are you that you will not be a 49er?
Not as disappointed as the 49ers will be that they didn't draft me.
We won. There will be a tomorrow. Jose, how you feeling? My heart, man. I feel like I need to get something like attached to it just to kind of like keep it going at this point, because I think it left my chest like somewhere around the 7-minute and fourth quarter mark.
Brother, it's felt like I haven't like breathed in like 3.5 hours. Those past 3.5 hours, the moment from the opening kickoff all the way until Robbie Gould's foot hit the football and the football went through the uprights, it was just an intense feeling. We started off horribly. I mean, just as bad as you could start against this Aaron Rodgers-led team. And it looked like the whole time, it looked like Aaron Rodgers was going to continue doing that possession after possession. But then guess what? This Niners defense, even with the banged up secondary that we're still having, somehow was able to pull up stop after stop after stop to give our special teams a chance. That was just the craziest way to get into the NFC Championship.
We saw a Josh Norman sighting and still pulled it off. Josh Norman went one-on-one with Devontae Adams, and we managed to walk away with the win in that particular matchup.
Clamps on that play.
Oh my God. It's like watching a young Grayson Allen out there. Am I right? Dude, dog. I'm so like just over the moon about that one. Like I think out of all Niners games in my life, I mean, seriously, all Niners games in my life, I think that was the most intense feeling. I think it's something about the atmosphere in Lambeau, deep in the middle of January, snow falling on the ground, going against a generational talent like Aaron Rodgers. There is nothing that's made me more stressed than watching that 60 minutes of play. That 60 minutes of play was the most agonizing. And you talk about not being able to breathe. It felt claustrophobic. Claustrophobic watching it. I was pacing. I don't think I sat down the entire fourth quarter. In fact, I think if you were to measure the amount of times me standing and walking around versus me actually sitting down, it's probably like somewhere like our running game, like a 60, 70, 30 split. It was probably the same like split of the NFC Championship game a couple years ago. And so like run to pass, sit to stand. That's kind of how I felt like watching it. Let's give some praise here. Let's give some praise. We talked about what was more likely to lose us a playoff game. Special teams. Who would have thought, out of all the reasons, out of all the personnel groupings on this team, special teams would have been the thing that made us win. Blocked field goal before the half, which was just huge. I mean, listen, we love Jimmy. We give Jimmy a praise, but the fact that led into that what should have been a scoring drive for Green Bay, and we managed to come up with a blocked field goal, changes the entire game score there, right? Changes the math entirely. And then the block punt, man. Who saw the block punt happening? And then too, I thought, okay, that's going to be one of those where they block it, the ball rolls out, and nothing extra happens out of it, because that would have even been tough, because it's still tough for our offense to score in this game. Even if we stop them on fourth down, get the ball back, and our offense has to finish the job. But the fact it landed in play, and the rookie Talanoa Hufanga comes up with the score. And I said his name right on this one. So that tells you just how overjoyed I am. And then the final special teams effort, Robbie Gould, worth every penny.
Every single penny.
Good as gold as this tie I am rocking right now. I got to tell you, I didn't think we gave him enough space. I thought we were just slightly outside his range. I mean, again, you talk about the snow, the ground is icy, but he called it. I've kicked in Chicago for years. What
11
a decade?
years.
A decade
11 years,
plus. I can deal with cold weather games, and it was Adam Vinatieri-esque. Now, I mean, still, the Niners have to finish the job to really cement that in the history of Niners football. But for the moment, enjoying it in the moment, I can't express how much joy I have. This team, just think about this team right now. This team that went on that 4-game losing streak in the middle of the season, and I'll out myself here. I thought Kyle Shanahan, he should be on the hottest of hot seats at that point. I thought we were heading towards another losing year. I thought it was a time in which, who knows, the development of Trey Lance, how that would go. What are we going to get for Jimmy? Jimmy's hurt again. And we're in the NFC fucking championship game. After all of that, we're with the final 4 teams remaining.
At 3-5, I was just right there with you. I was like, well, what could we do next year? Obviously, Jimmy's gone. Kyle Shanahan might just be gone as well. We might have to revamp our coaching staff, our entire roster. We don't know if we're going to sign Deebo Samuel. He might be pissed off and not even sign with us because we had such a bad season. And now, I mean, we're literally a win away from the Super Bowl. I would have never thought that. Even when we finished, the season, whenever we won, 8 out of 10 or whatever, even that still seemed kind of far-fetched. I was always telling myself, if we win one playoff game, which was the Dallas one, I was content with that. After that, that's just extra happiness for me going into the offseason. But now it brings up an interesting point, right? Because you're technically a game away from going to the Super Bowl. Are we getting our hopes too high now that we're seeing the chances of us getting there? Do you think we're getting our hopes too high to eventually lift the Lombardi Trophy?
At this point, we've overachieved, man. So anything else that happens is gravy. Obviously, I'd love to stand in a Super Bowl run. I'm still very cautiously optimistic. I'm not going in with any level of confidence into this game because I know, once again, we're going to be the underdog, no matter if it's Los Angeles or it's Tampa. And I know that's going to sound crazy to some because if we match up with Los Angeles, that's a team you beat 6 straight times. You've kicked their ass 6 straight times. Shouldn't you just have a level of confidence going there win? No, because easy pitch to McVay's guys. They've kicked your ass 6 straight times. And any team you play this late in the postseason can knock you out. You play a division rival for the 3rd time in a season. That's not an easy game by any means. They were up 17-0 at one point for some reason there. So not easy game by any means. And then Tampa, I mean, you're going against Tom Brady in a championship game. That story speaks for itself. Of course, then we get the potential Jimmy Garoppolo Tom Brady matchup. I'm just throwing out there. If you're watching this pre-Rams Bucks and you're thinking about the possibilities here, because now we can think about it. Now we can dream. Now we can actually think about it. Yep. We can actually talk about it, especially because we have to wait a day to see who we're actually matching up with. Let's also mention the defense. The defense came out to play. Let's pull up Aaron Rodgers' box score here, because from the eye test, it was pretty ugly.
You mean Mr. 0-4 against the Niners in the playoffs?
Oh yeah, that guy. I think he said something about making the Niners regret the day they did not draft him. But Aaron Rodgers,
still waiting for that day.
I gotta say, I gotta give him a lot of credit here. He has really helped the Niners advance in the playoffs more than any other quarterback the Niners have had in the last 20 years.
I mean, he's probably still a Niner at heart. He can't stomach the feeling of knocking out his childhood team that he loves just as much as we do. I know he doesn't say, he will never say it publicly. Aaron, we know you're still a Niner at heart. We know it.
Well, let's look at this. 20 for 29, 225 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 picks, sacked 5 times. That's probably the key there. The defensive line, Eric Armstead, another guy. I'll be honest, I buried him at one point during the season. Eric Armstead, where are you at? We decided to keep you over DeForest Buckner, and DeForest Buckner is still out there balling for Indianapolis. I felt his presence each step of the way. The Niners have like a crazy run. I posted on our Instagram page the other day of consecutive games with 3+ sacks. And Eric Armstead's been at the middle of that, literally, because he's been on the interior line dominating guys. I think that's the key. I think that's one of the biggest coaching adjustments. And that's why DeMeco Ryans is going to be a head coach this coming season. Because the decision to move Eric Armstead to the inside opened up our exterior pass rush, and he's just allowed those guys to feast. Ebukam's out there. Arden Key's out there. Charles Omenihu is out there. And obviously the Mauler.
Fucking grizzly bear, baby.
Bear. That's baby bear. Even though he plays bigger than his big bro at times.
Oh yeah.
Nick Bosa. I felt these guys every step of the way. They make up obviously for our depleted secondary. Anytime you have to have Dante Johnson and Josh Norman start for you in the divisional round, you better hope your defensive line comes out there to play, or it's going to be a long fucking day. Heart of the line too. Fred Warner. We've talked some shit about him underperforming on this contract. Stopping those runs, getting in front of those guys, being physical. That was the Niners football that we loved in that Super Bowl run. And that's showing here. That's why they're this deep in the playoffs. They play physical. I thought we were getting out physical for the majority of that game. And the defense held up. The offense left a lot to be desired out there, but they did enough. Obviously they did enough. let's not forget. Unless you want to talk about the defense a little bit more. You want to shout out any more else before I go on to this last guy? I think you know.
Yeah, I know who you're getting to, and then we're gonna have a lot to say about that certain fellow. But before we get to that, yes, that defense deserves all the credit in the world. A group that doesn't get as much recognition as they should, those linebackers. With once Dre Greenlaw made his way back into this lineup, huge difference. You could just feel the difference. Every time that guy's in the flat, any running back should be scared out of their minds whenever they see Dre Greenlaw out there, whenever their quarterback leaves them out to dry, catching a ball out in the flat, because Dre Greenlaw is going to lay the fucking hammer on your face. And he's been doing that every single week since he came back. And Azeez Al-Shaair, that guy gets physical and dirty in between the tackles, and that just makes a huge difference. We could continue to the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah. And by offensive side of the ball, we're strictly talking about, they call him Deebo fucking Samuel. Yep. Emphasis on the middle name there. Ready to steal chains, catch, run, pass,
return
play special teams. Let's talk about that. He's just out there, just I think 4th ever return, and he has a 50-yard return. What more can I say about this guy? But he's the engine that drives this team. I don't think I've seen many players, non-quarterback, really be the engine that drives an offense like Deebo is. We talked about, did we give Robbie enough range on that kick, or the proper range on that kick? It started with, I don't know, Deebo converting a first down out of nothing, just working his way, weaving his way through the defense, or injures himself on that play. And hopefully he's back, obviously, next week, because I talk about him being so important to this team. We kind of need him for the NFC Championship game. We kind of need him if we're going to go any further in this run here. But it just constantly makes something out of nothing. He never gives up on a play. He's just got that wiggle. The ball's going to him, and he still makes stuff happen. Obviously, Kyle Shanahan is owed a lot of credit with what he's done with Deebo, but finding a special talent like Deebo Samuel in the 2nd round, not even obviously the first wide receiver drafted out of that class, and it was a pretty decent little class there. I think one of the most notable ones is going behind N'Keal Harry. That's one that Bill has to bite the bullet on. And we just got to talk about the creativity on him. And he's found the perfect spot. I don't know what he's going to get paid. All I know is the next Niners jersey I get, I'm going to be honest, it's going to have Samuel and 19 on the back. Yeah. I just love watching that guy play. I don't think I've watched someone give me as much joy watching them just play as Deebo Samuel. And that's 20 years of fandom right there. I don't think I've enjoyed watching player this much.
I'm right there with you. I mean, the guy is just unbelievable. He's unbelievably talented. We knew that from his rookie year. We had the pleasure of watching we've watched every single game that he's played as a Niner, and we've just had the absolute pleasure to see him perform in his rookie year. And unfortunately, he was pretty banged up his 2nd year, but this year he took it to a completely different level, starting with week 1 against Detroit. And ever since then, he kept the accelerator going up, up, up. And he just has not stopped going all gas, no brakes for us. And then that's the type of players that are just hard to defend, right? Like, those are the type of players that whenever you watch film and you're an opposing team and you're like, how the fuck are we going to beat the Niners? I don't know how you beat Deebo Samuel. I mean, good luck to whoever ends up being the NFC Championship matchup for us, but good luck trying to stop Deebo Samuel, because until now, nobody's been able to figure it out this year.
Yeah, man. Deebo, the defense, the special teams, they made up for some shoddy offensive play calling and some shoddy offense. I didn't even want to bring this up, but can we talk about those drops early on? Talk about anxiety inducing. This game could have been a lot easier if George catches that one, right? That's a touchdown easy right there. That's one of those park the Red Sea type touchdowns. But he didn't make that one catch, that incredible catch. That was the one though that Jimmy got picked, right? So it didn't really result in anything.
It didn't result in anything because it ended up in a Jimmy Garoppolo pick. But George ended up being huge after that. In the second half, he had been kind of quiet the past couple of weeks when it came to the receiving game. Obviously, he's going to do what he's going to do blocking wise for the run game, but receiving wise, he had been a little bit quiet the past couple of games. And today he exploded. And of course, in a George Kittle fashion, the guys played in Iowa, so the snow wasn't bothering him. And I'm going to give credit to Jimmy Garoppolo. I know he threw that pick. That's Jimmy, but he was slinging it out there. There were some times where he was throwing balls that were looking better than Aaron Rodgers' balls. And I'm not kidding. I'm not saying that just because, the Niners quarterback ended up winning the game. I'm just saying because the ball looked better coming out of Jimmy Garoppolo's hands in some throws than it did than Aaron Rodgers.
Well, I think to really dive into that, the fact that Aaron Jones had 9 receptions, Devontae Adams had 9 receptions, and the only other person that caught a catch, 2 people that caught a catch was Ann Lazard with 1 and Mercedes Lewis with 1. It's clear that Aaron Rodgers just didn't really trust anyone else on the offense to make a play in that game. And that was also part of the equation. That's also part of what helped the Niners. Yeah, Devontae was burning us a little bit, but obviously he never really was able to crack open a traditional way. Obviously, we go back to, again, we knew when Dante Johnson got hurt, where's this ball going? And Norman he put the back of his head in the way, and that's sometimes all that matters. When we look back at the film and you look at the PFF grades and all that stuff, technically it's a pass deflected on your stat sheet. You win. If you win, you don't care. It's kind of like the same thing with Jimmy. He wins, we don't care.
Exactly.
We lose, obviously we care a lot. But Jimmy did make some good throws in that game, and Jimmy made some bad throws. That's just kind of like a Jimmy Garoppolo day. Obviously, there was some conversions there, especially late, some 3rd and 10s or 3rd and 7. We had a 3rd and 7 conversion on the last one to set up Robbie. So listen, he made the throws when you needed him to make the right throw. And I'm going to be bold here. I'm going to be bold in saying this. The NFC Championship game will be Jimmy Garoppolo's best postseason game of his career.
I could see it too. I could see it too.
Speak that into existence because that's all I got at this point. Fun stat, though. I guess he moves to 15-4 against the spread in his career, technically as the starting quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers, as an underdog, I should say.
As an underdog.
As an underdog. And guess what? We're probably going to be an underdog next week. So hopefully that stat holds up.
Chance. And then even a better stat for him, 4-1 in the postseason as a Niners QB. I'll never argue against that. I don't care if he only threw those 8 passes against the Packers in the NFC Championship in 2019. I do not care one bit. The guy is 4-1. He doesn't lose us football games. That's all I care about.
It's a make or miss league, or it's a win or loss league. And Aaron Rodgers, you're 0-4 against the San Francisco 49ers. Hopefully you have fun in Las Vegas, Denver, or wherever you end up. But sleep tightly, Packers fans, as you're going home. 1, 2, 3 Cancun, am I right? All right, guys. Leave a like on this video. Hit that subscribe button. Comment below your thoughts on the game. Wild fucking game. Just comment below. 49 Reasons Listen. 2 right here. Juju Talk Sports. Jose Corral. We'll see you next week.